Hi all, in this video I am going to demonstrate a scenario based on record trigger flow. So the scenario is that how we can assign permission set automatically upon user creation. We will be doing this with the help of record trigger flow. For that, first we need to create a permission set. Then we need to create a record trigger flow to configure so that we can have the automation so that the permission set assigned to newly created user. And then we need to create a user and verify the flow. So for that, first we need to go to setup. We'll click on the gear icon and we'll click on setup. Then we will search for permission set in the quick find box. First we need to create one permission set. We can use the already available permission set based on our requirement. But for now I am going to create a new permission set. You can give name as you wish. For now I am giving my test permission set, as we are creating this just for a scenario. My test permission set API name will come automatically. We'll click on save. As you can see, my test permission set is created. When you will go to manage assignment, you will see to which user this permission set is assigned. As it is a newly created permission set, it is not assigned to any user. Now we will create flows. We will search for flows in quick find box. So the flow menu will open. Now we need to click on a new flow. So the flow builder will open in a new tab. Then we need to select record trigger flow, as we are doing the scenario to show how record trigger flow works. We'll click on create. Now it will show how to start this record trigger flow, for which object we need to trigger this flow. So on user creation we need to trigger this flow. We will select object as user. When we need to fire the flow. So whenever a record is created, we need to fire this record trigger flow. If we want to set any entry conditions, like based on some condition a record is updated, so we will select here based on requirements. So I will select all conditions are met and will give is active is equal to true. So this record trigger flow will fire only when the newly created user is active. When we create a user, it is by default selected as active. Then we will optimize the flow for action and related records. We will click on done. Now, for a permission set to be assigned to a new user, we need to create records for permission set assignment object. I will show you. We'll go to create records element, and here if we use separate resources and literal values, we can search here object name as permission set assignment. As you can see, it is there. Here, set the field values for the permission set assignment. Here some fields are there. We need to set the permission set ID, and we will pass the value or the name of that permission set or the ID of that permission set which we want to assign to the newly created user. For that, we need to first get the record of that permission set which we want to assign to the newly created user. For that, we need to use get record element, and we need to fetch or query the record of the permission set which we want to assign to the newly created user. So we will give the label as get permission set, and we need to fetch records of permission set object. So how to filter permission set record? We can filter based on the name. So which permission set we want to assign to the newly created user, we will fetch, we will give the value of that name, like API name of that permission set, to the value. We'll go to the newly created permission set, we will copy the API name of the newly created permission set, and we will pass that value there. My test PS. Now automatically it will, how to store record data, it will automatically store all the fields of that permission set, and only the first record we need to store. Then we click on done. Now we need to use create record elements to create record of permission set assignment object, so that it will take the permission set from get record and will assign to the new user. We'll do create records, create permission set assignment. How many records to create? 1. How to set the record field? Use separate resources and literal values. Here, which record, which object record we need to create? We need to create permission set assignment object record. We'll select permission set assignment, and we will set the field values for the permission set assignment. We will check assignee ID. Assignee ID, we will pass the value of the current record ID of the newly created user. So for that, we will use value as a record, which is a global variable. As you can see, it's $record, so it's a global variable, and we will use .id. So it will get the ID of the newly created record. And then we will click on add field, and we will select permission set ID. And for this value, we need to pass from get permission set, which we are getting in get records element. We will use that record permission set from get permission set, and we will take ID from there as well, and we will assign to permission set ID of permission set assignment object. Then we will click on done. So our flow is completed. We'll click on save. We'll give one flow label as it should be relatable to the flow you created. So I'm giving assign permission set to new user, and I will click on save. Then I will activate this flow. Now our record trigger flow is activated. Now time come to test this flow whether it is working or not. So for that, we need to again go to the setup, and we need to search for users. Here, when we create a new user, the myTestPS permission set should be automatically assigned to the user. If it is automatically assigned, then our record trigger flow is working fine. So we will test that. We will click on new user, and we will create one test user here. Test user, and we'll give one email ID as anything you want. and we need to select user license as Salesforce, and profile we can give as standard user. As you can see, active checkbox is already checked, so no need to check that. Come down. As you can see, generate new password and notify user immediately is also auto selected. So when we click on save, an email will be sent to the particular user to the particular email ID for resetting the password of this user. And also if we click on save, that permission set that we created should automatically assign to this user. Then we will know that our flow is working fine. We'll click on save and we'll check. We will go down a little bit to the permission set assignment. Here you can see that permission set that we created myTestPS is automatically assigned to the newly created user. That means that our flow that we created assign permission set to new user is working perfectly fine. That's all in this video. Thanks.